all want games with great gameplay, compelling stories, and awesome characters. But let's be honest, fanservice is the cherry on top. And when a series has a bunch of fanservice heavy entries, well, that's a hell of a lot of cherries. Today, we're going cherry picking with 10 awesome fanservice franchises you absolutely need in your life. So grab your controller and maybe close the door. Links to full reviews in the description below, but now let's get to it. Alright, kicking off this list is a series that mixes chaotic energy and just enough over-the-top fanservice to make you look twice. Say hello to Senran Kagura, the ninja girls who fight hard, and their outfits, well, they fight hard to stay on. But beneath all the jiggling and cheeky humor, there's a surprisingly solid beat-em-up foundation here that's captured loyal fans over the years. This long-running series blends fast-paced action with unapologetic fanservice. Created by Kenichiro Takaki and first released in 2011 on the 3DS, the series quickly made a name for itself with its badass combat, colorful cast, clothing destruction, and, physics. Senran Kagura follows rival schoolgirls of ninja girls, each with their own distinct personalities, fighting styles, and storylines. You'd be forgiven for assuming the combat and visuals are about as deep as the games get, but the stories dig deeper than you'd expect, with themes of friendship, loyalty, and self-acceptance. The series has branched out into different genres over the years, from Muso brawlers like Estival Versus, a cooking rhythm game with Bon Appetit, and even a multiplayer water gun shooter with Peach Beach Splash, each one dialing the fanservice up to 11, while experimenting with the genre conventions. While it spawned anime adaptations, manga, and a loyal fanbase that embraces its blend of playful naughtiness and solid gameplay mechanics, the future of Senran Kagura is anything but certain. Now, there was a mobile game that released last year, and a spin-off a few years back, but the last proper game in the series was released all the way back in 2018. However, there are over a dozen games in the series, so there's still a lot of bouncy brawling goodness if you're looking to jump in. Senran Kagura remains a cult favorite for players who enjoy their action games with a heavy dose of humor, heart, and heroines. Your best bet for jumping into the series these days is to check out some of the more recent games on either the PS4 or PC. I recommend starting out with Burst Renewal or Estival Versus. Next up is Dead or Alive. DOA is a long-running fighting series developed by Team Ninja and published by Tecmo, now Koei Tecmo. The series debuted in arcades and on the Sega Saturn during the ancient times of the mid-1990s. DOA quickly set itself apart with its fast, fluid combat system, innovative counter mechanics, and dynamic stages that feature multi-level knockouts and interactive hazards. But truly, DOA is just as famous for its fanservice as it is for its fighting. Seriously, if you look up jiggle physics, as one tends to do, you'll undoubtedly come across DOA. The series became iconic for its unique mechanics and ever-expanding roster of fighters. With the fandom growing, Team Ninja saw the potential to expand beyond fighting games. So, in addition to the mainline fighting series, there's a handful of spin-offs featuring volleyball and other beach sports, photography, and even a dating sim, with Venus Vacation Prism Dead or Alive Extreme, that was released just this year, but only in Asia. Yeah, tell me about it. There was a movie, DOA Dead or Alive, with Jamie Presley, that came out in 2006, that's definitely so bad it's good. The most recent fighting game, DOA 6 from 2019, is undoubtedly the best looking, but has employed a toned-down, more realistic physics engine. In my opinion, the best of the series is either DOA 4 or DOA 5 Ultimate. Yeah, they're a little older, but still hold up. Moving on to Bayonetta, one of the most stylish and unapologetically over-the-top action franchises in all of gaming. Developed by Platinum Games and led by legendary designer Hideki Kamiya, the series first exploded onto the scene in 2009 with the original Bayonetta, a game that quickly set a new standard for high-speed, combo-heavy action, going toe-to-toe with titles like Devil May Cry. Bayonetta is all about fluid, flashy combat, where style is just as important as substance. She's an ultra-powerful witch who uses a mix of melee attacks, gunplay, and her own magical hair-based summons to annihilate enemies in increasingly nuts and spectacular ways. Oh yeah, and her hair is also her clothes, so there's that. The combat is deep and rewarding, with an emphasis on dodging at the last second to trigger witch time, a mechanic that slows down enemies to unleash devastating combos. But gameplay is only half the appeal. Bayonetta is drenched in fan service, from the provocative character designs and irreverent humor to its insanely climactic boss fights. The series leans into its campy, sexy, and self-aware style, turning every encounter into a spectacle. With Bayonetta 2 and 3, the series has only grown bigger and bolder, introducing new mechanics, wilder set pieces, and deeper lore for a universe full of angels, demons, and witches. Since the series is now exclusive to Nintendo, I'm hoping for a remaster or new entry on the Switch too. In addition to the 3 mainline games, there was a fanservice free title with Bayonetta Origins Cereza and the Lost Demon in 2023. Also, both an anime titled Bayonetta Bloody Fate and 2-part manga, both released in 2013. The character Bayonetta has also shown up in other games too, including the wonderful 101 as a downloadable character in Anarchy Reigns and in Smash Bros. Ultimate, so there's plenty of ways to get your witchly fix. My favorite game in the series has to be Bayonetta 2, but if you don't have a Nintendo console, the first game still holds up surprisingly well. Next up is an absolutely bananas fanservice-laced series that clearly doesn't take itself seriously, and neither should you. The AKIBA'S Trip franchise is one of those cult favorites that blends beat-em-up action with a quirky premise and a heavy dose of otaku culture. Developed by Acquire, the series kicked off in 2011 with AKIBA'S Trip on the PSP. But it was AKIBA'S Trip Undead and Undressed that really put the series on the map here in the West. So, what makes these games stand out, you may ask? Well, keep your pants on. Or don't. And that's kind of the point. You patrol the streets of Tokyo's Akihabara district, battling vampire-like creatures called synthesters. But instead of a stake to the heart, you defeat them by stripping off their clothes to expose them to sunlight. Yeah, it's as ridiculous as it sounds, and that's why I love it so much. It leans into fanservice hard, with flashy stripping mechanics, customizable outfits, and tongue-in-cheek humor that pokes fun at gaming, anime, and otaku culture. The series captures the spirit and layout of Akihabara surprisingly well, turning it into a sandbox where you can explore shops, take on side quests, and interact with all of the colorful and wacky NPCs. The combat is light but satisfying, with a rock-paper-scissors system targeting enemies' headwear, tops, and bottoms, leading to these over-the-top stripping finishers. Later entries like AKIBA'S Beat tried to shift the formula to more of an action RPG, and I'm just not a huge fan. It felt like it lost some of the chaotic charm in favor of more traditional gameplay. But at its best, AKIBA'S Trip delivers a uniquely silly, fanservice-heavy experience that's packed with satire and otaku in-jokes. If you know, you know. There are 5 games in all if you include the Japanese-only mobile game, but if you're looking to jump in, I recommend AKIBA'S Trip Undead and Undressed Director's Cut. It's a remaster that, while not massively improved from the original, does polish things up a bit and brings the game to more modern platforms. For the kind of gamer who can appreciate its blend of beat-em-up action and shameless, self-aware fanservice, AKIBA'S Trip is a standout.
Come on, let's do this!
Alright, our next series is one of the most infamous and unapologetic fanservice franchises in gaming. And honestly, it knows exactly what it's doing. The Galgun series, developed by Inti Creates, first launched in 2011 and quickly became a cult hit thanks to its ridiculous premise. You play as a young guy cursed with too much sex appeal, causing every girl in the school to fall madly in love with you. I mean, who can't relate? And the only way to fend off their overwhelming affection? By blasting them with your pheromone shot, of course. Galgun is a rail shooter crossed with a dating sim, mixing fast-paced shooting galleries with multiple choice dialogue, stat management, and character roots. Each entry doubles down on the series' blend of ecchi humor, playful lewdness, and surprisingly great arcade-style gameplay. The shooting is snappy and quick, with weak points to target for maximum score and maximum reaction. And there's a layer of progression with upgrades and multiple endings depending on which heroine you pursue. Now the fanservice is front and center, with the infamous Doki Doki mode, where you do, this. The overtly suggestive content has led to varying levels of censorship by platform and region. I actually cover this in my video that dives deep into the history of video game fanservice and censorship. There are 5 games in total, including Galgun VR, which sounds totally awesome, a remaster of the first game called Galgun Returns that came out in 2021, but my favorite has to be Galgun Double Piece. It came out on a bunch of systems and is the most fun to play in my opinion.
I just like it is all.
If you're looking for deep storytelling or mechanical complexity, you won't find it here. But for those who embrace its absurdity, the Galgun series offers a unique, tongue-in-cheek experience that delivers exactly what it promises. Moving on to the Dusk Diver series. It's one of those hidden gems that quietly delivers exactly what action RPG fans want, with stylish combat, colorful anime aesthetics, and just enough fanservice to keep things spicy. Developed by Wanen Games and JFI Games out of Taiwan, this series feels like an indie love letter to Persona, Yakuza, and Dynasty Warriors fans, blended into its own unique flavor. Set in a real-world Taipei district, but with a supernatural twist, Dusk Diver follows a high schooler, Yang Yumo, as she gets caught between dimensions and gains the ability to fight off interdimensional creatures known as Chaos Beasts. The story leans into familiar anime tropes, with a plucky heroine, quirky sidekicks, and a battle between gods and humans. You know, the usual. Combat is where Dusk Diver shines. It's a fast-paced, combo-heavy brawler, where you juggle enemies, summon guardian spirits, and unleash flashy special moves. The first game offered a solid, if slightly repetitive action foundation, but its sequel, Dusk Diver 2 from 2022, leveled things up with deeper mechanics, giving each playable character distinct styles and expanding the combo system, making it feel more like a legit character action game. Think Devil May Cry meets Senran Kagura from Wish. Visually, the games pop with vibrant cel-shaded art and slick character designs that balance between cool and playful. There's definitely a layer of fanservice here. Yumo and her allies have alternate costumes that lean into the sexy side, and character interactions flirt with that cheeky tone. There are only 2 games in the series, so unlike some of the other franchises in this video, it won't be too overwhelming if you're looking to dive in for a closer look. For fans who like their action games with a side of waifu energy, Dusk Diver is an underrated series that punches well above its weight. Moving on to the Shantae series, one of the best examples of a true cult classic that grew into a popular fan favorite franchise over time. Developed by WayForward, Shantae first debuted all the way back in 2002 on the Game Boy Color. And while that first game flew under the radar, it laid the groundwork for what would become an awesome mix of Metroidvania-style platforming, flashy combat, and yes, a generous dose of lighthearted fanservice. The game centers on Shantae herself, a half-genie heroine with a heart of gold and hips that don't lie. Shantae whips enemies with her hair, transforms into animals with magical belly dancing, and battles against a colorful rogues gallery led by the ever-charming pirate villainess Risky Boots. What makes Shantae games shine is their blend of tight platforming, exploration-based progression, and gorgeous 2D sprite work, especially in later entries like Shantae and the Pirate's Curse and Shantae Half Genie Hero. This series nails the satisfying loop of unlocking new abilities, backtracking to previously inaccessible areas, and gradually powering up your heroine, all while keeping the tone playful, cheeky, and full of charm. While not as overt as some others on the list, the Shantae series doesn't shy away from some light fanservice. From the character designs to the dance transformations and the tongue-in-cheek humor, but it's handled with a kind of self-aware, cartoonish flair that's more of a wink and a nod. The sixth game in the series, Shantae Advance Risky Revolution, is set to release this year. My favorite game has to be Half Genie Hero, maybe since I played through it a half dozen times, but honestly, you could play any of the games in the series and have a blast. Shantae games are easy to pick up, fun to master, and always a visual treat, becoming one of the standout indie franchises that balances retro gameplay with modern polish. Okay, where would this list be without the Hyperdimension Neptunia series? Yeah, it's one of the most iconic fanservice franchises, period. But it's also a lot smarter and weirder than it gets credit for. Developed by Compile Heart and Idea Factory, Neptunia first launched in 2010 and quickly carved out its niche by blending classic JRPG mechanics with a metric ton of parody, fourth wall breaking humor, and over-the-top anime fanservice. The story is so freaking crazy, set in the world of game industry, a place where nations are ruled by goddesses who are literal personifications of real-world game consoles. No, seriously. Neptune represents Sega, Noir for PlayStation, Blanc for Nintendo, and Vert for Xbox. Obviously a reflection of the era they came out. They battle for control while forming chaotic alliances and poking fun at gaming culture itself. The series' formula has evolved over time. Early entries featured turn-based combat with position-based strategy elements, while later games, like Neptunia V2 and Neptunia Rebirth, streamlined the systems for faster, flashier battles. There are dungeon crawls, party building, crafting, and even side games that dip into tactical RPGs, action RPGs, and even shoot-'em-ups. What keeps us coming back again and again is the colorful cast of waifus, the lighthearted banter, and the constant stream of cheeky fanservice. Outfits get skimpier with power-ups, transformation sequences border on magical girl parodies, and the dialogue is packed with flirty jokes and innuendo. This is a series that if you really want to get lost in, there's a lot to explore, with over 20 mainline and spin-off games, an anime series, and movies, multiple manga series, and even a novel. It's a lot, like a lot. And you know what?
I like it a lot.
A good place to start is Mega Dimension Neptunia V2, but I'm sure some of you will think I'm totally wrong, so put your starting pick in the comments below. For its dedicated fanbase, Hyperdimension Neptunia offers a unique blend of JRPG comfort food and self-aware anime chaos. Yeah, it's silly, sometimes shallow, but always entertaining, and definitely worth checking out. Next up is the Fate series, one of the most sprawling, chaotic, and surprisingly enduring game franchises. Spun out of Type Moon's original Fate Stay Night visual novel from 2004, Fate has grown into a multi-genre gaming monster, covering everything from tactical RPGs to Muso-style action brawlers, mobile gacha juggernauts, and even fighting games. And through all of this, it's kept its unique blend of epic, mythological mashups, over-the-top anime spectacle, and unapologetic fanservice. At the heart of every Fate game is the familiar Holy Grail war setup. Mages, called Masters, summon historical and mythological figures called Servants to battle for ultimate power. But each game takes this premise and spins it in wildly different directions. On the visual novel and strategy side, you've got titles like Fate Stay Night and Fate Extra, which mix storytelling with tactical turn-based combat. Fate Extra in particular was an early PSP cult hit, blending dungeon crawling with rock-paper-scissors combat mechanics and giving rise to beloved characters like Nero Claudius. If you want action, the Fate Extella series turns things up with Muso-style hack-and-slash gameplay, letting you tear through thousands of enemies. These games lead hard into fan service, with flashy transformations, lots of character bonding events, and more than a few cheeky costumes. Then there's the real behemoth, Fate Grand Order. As a mobile gacha RPG, FGO has exploded into one of the biggest moneymakers in the industry, combining collectible hero summoning with turn-based battles, and an ever-growing epic story that pulls in figures from every corner of myth and history. It's also where the fanservice is cranked to 11, with servants appearing in alternate costumes like swimsuits, French maids, and holiday outfits through seasonal events. Love it or hate it, FGO defines the modern state of the Fate series, a series that's even dipped into fighting games with Fate Unlimited codes, and more experimental spin-offs like Fate Samurai Remnant, which blends open-world exploration with action RPG combat, showing the franchise is still evolving and experimenting. Beware if you're looking to jump in, since the lore can get incredibly dense and overwhelming. Still, for fans of anime spectacle, mythological crossovers, and rich character rosters packed with fanservice, Fate's gaming catalog delivers in spades. For anyone who'd been watching me for a while, you knew I wouldn't forget about Onechanbara. This series is pure, unfiltered B-movie fanservice in video game form, and it wears that badge with pride. Developed by Tamsoft, this long-running hack-and-slash series first hit in the early 2000s, and has since become a cult favorite among players who love their action bloody, their zombies plentiful, and their heroines dressed in as little as possible. So yeah, it's absolutely my jam. This series is all about over-the-top action, where you slice through waves of the undead using flashy sword combos, acrobatic moves, and special transformations.
My body. It's so hot.
Throughout most of the series, you play as the scantily clad sword-wielding sisters Aya and Saki, who strut into battles in bikinis and cowboy hats while delivering brutal combos that leave the screen drenched in blood. The loop is simple, but satisfying. Chain attacks, manage your weapon's blood gauge, yeah, too much blood and your sword will dull, and then unleash frenzied rage modes for extra carnage. The series has continued to develop over the years, introducing new characters, opening up mid-combo switching and making the combat faster and more stylish. While the gameplay is solid in a chaotic Dynasty Warriors meets Devil May Cry way, the real draw here is the sheer camp factor and fanservice spectacle. The character designs are unapologetically provocative, the plot is straight out of a grindhouse flick, and the tone swings wildly between goofy self-aware and try-hard edginess. Over the dozen or so games, when you include the mainline, spin-off, and updates, I've covered 5, including the first 2 back on the PS2, the first game in HD with Bikini Samurai Squad, and the most recent entries with Z2 Chaos and Origin. I've also covered a spin-off set in the same universe with Schoolgirl Zombie Hunter.
But wait! There's more!
I've also reviewed both Onechanbara movies and even the manga. So yeah, without even a hint of shame, I freaking love this series. I can't believe it's been 5 years since we've had a new entry. The world needs more Onechanbara. Of course, you'll have a good time with any of the entries, but if you want to play the best the series has to offer, I recommend jumping in with Z2 Chaos. It's so much better than it has any right to be. For players who love chaotic action and appreciate a heavy side of cheesy fanservice, Onechanbara remains a wild, bloody, and strangely charming ride. A true gem in the world of lowbrow but lovable action games.
Its swipes are wide but fast. Saki, be careful!
I know.
There you go, 10 of the best fanservice franchises you need in your life. Now I couldn't cover them all, so what franchises did I miss? Put them in the comments below so others can check them out. If you liked the video, hit like and of course subscribe. And if you want must-play games packed with fanservice, check out my video right here. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.